I thought the rest of this year was going to be pretty boring when it comes to strategy games, and thankfully I was wrong, with many hot off the press announcements from Gamescom 2025 and more. Here are some great looking upcoming strategy games, starting with Anno 117 Pax Romana, which was, in my humble opinion, a huge winner from Gamescom this year, officially revealing the second of two major starting regions for this Roman city builder come resource management RTS game. Here, in the region of Albion, things look, remarkably different from that of Latium, where Latium is the highly Romanized, almost centralized region for governors like you and I. Here in Albion, on the fringes, the hinterland of the expansive Roman Empire, things look a little different. A little more Celtic, maybe. Beyond the scenery, this reads a sign of confidence, and secondly, maybe more importantly, the game releases in full on November 13th, 2025, where you'll be able to govern your way through the newly curved roads, overhauled aesthetic system, and finally some gloriously real combat. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Anno in just a few months' time. But for now, you're probably looking forward to seeing some more of some different games. So let's move on to my second title, Beyond These Stars. From what I just discovered is a locally grown New Zealand studio, comes Beyond These Stars. Simply put, the job here is to build a city on the back of a whale in space. This hyperspace traveling, living, breathing world of a whale forms the base for a very unique 4X feeling strategy game. The focus here on unlocks and gameplay around resource management, supply chains, and on top of that, outpost building, a sort of city building, if you will, on the back of a whale. And then you've got the fact that you are on that big old beastie boy. Exploring space, meaning aliens, and further exploration awaits. As of right now, this game doesn't have a specific release date, showing as sometime in 2025 though. So watch this space, pun intended, as something will need to happen pretty soon for Beyond These Stars to make landfall within the next couple of months. Moving on to another fresh Gamescom announcement, Tropico 7. Boy oh boy, was I stoked to hear recently the other day on stream that a new tropical island dictatorship simulator was on the way in 2026 when Tropico 7 was announced. I've played a lot of the Tropico games, 5 and SIX, I should say, in my own time, not on the channel, but regardless, I'm so happy to see that there's something new and novel in the works. To be honest, though, I do often find that there's maybe little differences between those old Tropico games. Not saying they're a bad thing, absolutely not, far from it. It just often feels like a very familiar experience, beyond which, I don't know, colonial power you're vying with as you attempt to smuggle some of the funds from your island into your fledgling bank account. No need, really, to spend too much more time here on Tropico 7, as we don't have a lot of actual gameplay. But as you can see from the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action, on the basis of a decision by the German Bundestag, a very gloriously German bureaucratic game, and one I'm very much looking forward to, is on its way in 2026. Equally on its way at some point comes the next entry in my list. This is Elemental Reforged. It's a series with a long and rich history, and it's being remastered, remade, reforged, if you will, in this modern successor. Perhaps the most intriguing entry in my entire list, this gem looks like a wonderful blend of 4X, strategy, kingdom building, and RPG gaming. It's a turn-based strategy game from Stardock that features custom units, magical items and spells, city and empire building, and custom RPG-style characters. It's kind of got everything I want. A fascinating and ambitious blend that I'm looking forward to hearing more about, though it's yet to announce its release date. Equally yet to announce its release date comes Surviving Mars, also remastered, reforged, refurbished, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad that this one was brought to my attention recently as well, because initially I had foolishly dismissed it as a simple kind of bump, right? Here's our old game, let's bump it up with a platinum version and consider it a remaster. It is perhaps going to be just a little bit more than that. New UI, enhanced graphics, as you might expect, as well as some real new content. It's hard to tell at this stage whether a new player would be better off to pick it up, or just simply pick up the original version at a massive Steam sale discount. This version comes with the classic Paradox radio stations and more DLC, as well as a new Martian assembly and colony factions added to the game. Perhaps a new political and diplomatic element that is greatly needed in what is all around, in my view, a very solid game to begin with. This is one to watch. Next up, something completely different. We have EverSiege, Untold Ages, a roguelike action RTS game, where the task is simple yet very difficult. The task is to defend a besieged world of Bastion against relentless waves of enemies. Partly kingdom builder, seemingly partly tower defense action, and always replayably random, EverSiege Untold Ages is the style of game that I intend to test for, 23 minutes, and end up playing for 2 to 3 hours. Choices like which relics, equipment, potion you take, each time a trade-off as you explore and build your defenses, leaning into that sort of roguelike element of what will make, hopefully, this upcoming game something that I'm at the very least very keen to see more of. It's currently listed as coming soon on Steam. My next entry may be a familiar one to you if you saw my last video. It's a second repeat. It's called Menace. Menace, also a Hooded Horse published pickup, seem to be absolutely killing it right now, by the way, is here double dipping because of some recent news. It's a repeat recommendation. It's a turn-based strategy game that leans into sort of RPG elements from the minds behind Battle Brothers, and here I'm repeating it because of some recent news that it's also having a free-to-play demo this September. Are we moving back into a kind of golden age of demos? I can't help but wonder. I also think, if a studio is willing to produce a demo like this, there's one that is ready, publicly available, free to access, no pre-order, precondition behind it. Maybe one of two things. They either feel like they've really got something pretty good cooking, or they are in desperate need for some publicity. I feel like the first is maybe more likely. And this is a turn-based tactics, honestly kind of XCOM style game that I've been looking for so long. Where is my new fantastic XCOM game at? Maybe, just maybe, Menace will be it, and we'll find out very soon. Moving on, we have a classic game, but a new twist of it. In Heroes of Might and Magic, this turn-based prequel to the famous franchise is scheduled to release sometime this year. And this classic returns with its magical turn-based battles and broader kingdom management. It's developed by Unfrozen and published by, again, Hooded Horse and Ubisoft, interestingly. It's a strategy game about heroes, magic, and conquering the map. Solo and single player or across many of its highly touted multiplayer modes and random map generation with a wealth of pre-built factions. Here it comes. Maybe added an unexpected yet generous element of replayability, and what we've got is a classic turn-based strategy game. Speaking of classic games, and moving almost abruptly into Warhammer, here we have Warhammer 40k Dawn of War. It's a hotly anticipated sequel, one of many, of course, another franchise that we've seen again and again. This time around, the iconic RTS series is returning sometime in 2026. I'm sorry, I've probably said that like 5 times this video, but unfortunately, we love vague release dates in the gaming world. They're promising that this one will be the largest one to date, though, at least in terms of its campaign. At least 4 playable, perhaps max 4 playable factions, and over 70 campaign missions. Warhammer is back, baby! Let's see what this one has to offer. as we move into next year. For now, though, any Battlestar Galactica fans out there? You might be interested in Battlestar Galactica Scattered Hopes. This one's releasing, I believe, in Q1 of 2026. You'll be a Gunstar captain leading a fleet, dodging Cylons, and ultimately chasing the Galactica. It's a roguelike mix of, I would say, resource management, real-time strategy tactics, and it kind of has an FTL vibe to it. Not the first game, actually, in this list. Managing fuel, your crew, and the very battles themselves. And of course, leaning into the Battlestar Galactica lore and theme, this one actually really captured my attention. At first I thought, the graphics look a bit lame, and then I thought, actually, this looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Again, unfortunately, it'll be a wait and see. The next entry is also a wait and see, granted. Comes from the studio that made Old World, and the publishers of Galactic Civilizations. It's a long-anticipated sequel called Ashes of the Singularity 2. It is a, by all accounts, fairly large-scale, real-time strategy game. Less about how quick you can move your mouse, and more about how you develop a strategy. Maybe slightly more strategic than some of the kind of point-and-click RTS titles out there. Again, early days, not yet releasing until 2026, but here you're tasked with defending the solar system, or maybe taking it over. Will you be the human defense, or kind of a rogue AI on an absolute warpath to farm intelligence? That question will ultimately be up to you when Ashes of the Singularity 2 launches in 2026. If you're less of a fan of sci-fi, more of a fan of Nordic games, then let's have a little change of pace from the last couple of entries. This is Oath of Blood, a PC game where you're a Viking Jarl, throwback to Skyrim. It's a turn-based tactics game that combines sort of a almost colony building, but maybe seems to me in these early phases a little bit more like base building. Granted, a minor difference, but an important one nonetheless. It's about commanding warriors, diplomatic alliances, and fighting for Nordic, glorious Viking glory. Maybe, at a light level, kind of a Banner Saga-esque game, with turn-based tactics thrown in the mix. And finally, this list would obviously not be complete without Europa Universalis V being mentioned here. For you see, we have new developments, right? The Paradox Grand Strategy Machine is back at it, and it's confirmed now with a release date of November 4, 2025. So see you later, Victoria. There's a new game in town. I haven't had any early previews of this game, unlike previous titles. Wonder why. So I can't speak to EU5 personally yet. But rest assured, EU5 being a historical grand strategy game is right up my alley. And I'll bring you some coverage. It may not quite be something I'm going to be all that well informed on, but maybe that's not a bad thing for a game as complicated as EU5. A real perspective, a fresh perspective. Nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed my perspective of all of these new and upcoming strategy games, from 4X to turn-based tactics, a little bit of grand strategy thrown in there, and sometimes some action and RTS blends. RPG blends as well. Thanks for watching. Do let me know anything that I might have missed down below. I'll see you next time.